let's so basically what um I would like us to do is imagine that our psyche or inside our mind is just like a circle, right? And we have maybe these energies. Fiery red would be kind of like this do it now. Cool blue would be kind of doing it right. Earth green is do it in harmony. Sunshine yellow is do it together. And it's not necessarily who we are, but it's just how the self can kind of move around and access energies. And then we're going to think about these energies in terms of language around leadership. And the first leadership type that we're going to identify is the centered leader. Um, the leaders who's centered and grounded in the here and now, demonstrates authenticity, integrity, has a clear sense of purpose. I it might I saw this little video clip of the Texas A&M coach who was he was talking about leadership with the players, and he said when the guys are frantic, I have to be calm. That's an example of like a centered leader, kind of using this green energy, blue energy. The green energy is like harmony, blue energy is doing it right to kind of assess the team and get everyone to a calm place and really modeling that for herself or himself through things like we just did through a meditation. So think about that language, the centered leader, and how all of us can access our centered leadership style. Like, okay, I need to calm myself down so I can calm my team down. Um, okay, and then on the opposite side, the visionary leader. And the visionary leader is using this red energy, which is kind of intense, do it now, and yellow energy, which is do it together, very relational. And the visionary leader is looking at possibilities and creating options, kind of a pioneer, and uses the idea of inspiration. And almost like the centered leader and the visionary leader are opposites, or opposite energies where we can kind of move back and forth. I think of maybe someone who's giving a inspirational message. Uh, Halftime talk is like kind of creating a visionary leadership, using a visionary leadership style. And then there's the relationship leader. Leader who fosters relationships, creates community, cultivates collaboration to release the potential of individual groups. Again, here we're using some green energy, that harmony, and also yellow energy, which is related to do it together and really connecting. So that leadership style, the self might kind of notice what's happening. Someone might be struggling in the team. You've also may have had you may have really been had to be direct with someone, and then you're trying to reconnect afterwards to check in and see how they're feeling, and also kind of build them up. And then the opposite leadership style from there would be the results leader. And the results leader is using red energy and blue energy, that kind of do it now, do it right. Um, and that type of leader produces results, gets things done, sustains commitment through process of initiation and delivery. And so the idea is that um, we have a sense of what a little bit of maybe what kind of energies we lead with. Do we tend to be more relational and use sunshine yellow? Do we tend to be more analytical, get things right with cool blue energy? Do we tend to like do it now, get shit done, red energy? Or are we kind of sitting back, calming ourselves, having concern for others? and using that green energy. And then we start to have leadership language that's built around that. Leadership, relationship leadership, the centered leadership, visionary leadership. And and so we can have this kind of intentionality of like when we are in a group or when we're leading ourselves, like what kind of leader do we want to be in the moment? And so the centered leader is grounded in the here and now. Um, kind of, I think sometimes is really kind of doing a lot of self work, self knowledge, nurturing of self worth, a clear sense of purpose. A lot of leaders struggle in this area to be centered, right? Especially because business is stressful and challenging. Um, Burnout can kind of lead to lack of self-care, not working out, not doing prayer, meditation, not connecting with others, not eating right. And so being a centered leadership is almost like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You almost have to kind of take care of yourself before you can take care of others. So I think sometimes the centered leadership style gets pushed aside for more results-oriented leadership style. The visionary leader is someone who is highly engaging, communicates effectively, really extroverted, uses a lot of feeling, and creates obvious inspiration and passion in a consistent way. Okay, and then we have the relationship leader who fosters relationships and community. Uh, and we mentioned that might see who's kind of down in a way and who needs a little bit of support. And then we have the results leader who is driven by the end goal and measures and monitors progress and success every step of the way. So that was a little redundant going through it again, but it's almost like kind of letting it settle in and become integrated, those four leadership styles. And so what we're trying to do is really have a growth mindset with all leaderships, with all four leadership styles, and imagine kind of moving back and forth into these styles, regardless of what kind of colored energy we lead with. Um, and so the centered leader, if there's too much focus on leadership, can result in stagnation. The leader might be too reflective and unable to respond quickly when things are really happening. Okay. And so the visionary, if someone's really kind of caught being more of the visionary leader, it's not being centered and overemphasizing visionary can manifest in frantic and chaotic environment with a lot of action. Okay. So you kind of see like Carl Jung kind of talks about this the idea of theory of opposites and the unconscious is related to opposites and the centered leadership and the visionary leadership seem to be kind of on this like continuum, right? And so both need to exist within a leader to produce a balance, right? And that's what we're looking for. How am I doing? I know I'm strong in the visionary leadership style, but I got everyone really amped up and maybe we need to kind of move into like slowing us down a little bit and getting more centered. Uh, Someone who uses a lot of red energy and blue energy might be too focused on results at the expense of relationships. And we can think a lot of coaches who are this way, or a lot of great leaders are this way. Like I really don't care about relationships. I just want results. Um, and when we have too much of an emphasis on relationships, uh, we kind of might lose some of our boundaries and lose direction. And so what we're trying to do is create this balance between the results leader and the relationship leader. So not only are we identifying language, but we're kind of moving back and forth. And we're thinking about our situation of, wow, I had to confront you, like Rob, maybe you had this in that 360-degree feedback. I had to really confront someone, uh, and that was hard. Maybe I should kind of check in with them. I'm going to move from results leadership. Now I'm going to do a little relationship leadership, right? The the leader who gives like a real inspirational message might also kind of move into kind of knowing when to kind of calm things down so everyone's nervous system can settle in. And I really like this model because it's easy to remember. It gives us leadership language, and we're kind of looking at the importance of all four. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit here to some behaviors and this will be a lot to kind of take in, but just putting it out there, and we can kind of continue the conversation as we go along. But there are basically 8 type of leadership behaviors that are related to the 4 leadership types. Let's start with agile thinking, which is a combination of center leadership and results leadership. And that blue energy, really getting it right, thinking through, making decisions. It's pure blue energy, results and being centered, being calm. Okay, really important for leadership, of course. Then we're moving into a combination, this kind of purple, which is the combination of the blue and the red, delivering results. We move over to some more red energy, a combination of results leadership and visionary leadership is leading change. I just had a session earlier, a couple hours ago, with a CEO, and he's doing a presentation on change, and we had a little discussion about AI and how AI is creating a little bit of a kind of an existential anxiety in business, right? Like, are we going to be placed by AI? Um, and the unconscious really doesn't want to change always. And so how do we kind of evoke that sense of like being adapting and changing, overcoming fear? And then and I mentioned this with Jared. I thought Jared was kind of accessing like a compelling vision, some visionary leadership. I could have been wrong. That could have been my own my own stuff. But like creating a compelling vision is like seeing a future, seeing possibilities, looking at uh, goals, but kind of more importantly, kind of the big picture. And then with Rob, I sensed that there was in his kind of feedback time a communicating with impact, a combination of visionary leadership and relationship leadership, and then fostering teamwork, facilitating development. You can see is more kind of green energy. You're really thinking about others and leading from within. So that was a lot to just process, but most importantly, just kind of getting a sense of our some leadership language, how to think about being flexible and from one side to the other based on our personalities, our colored energies. And as you go into the month, think about this language. And if you want, I could give you some of the slides where you could just integrate it. And when you are interacting, and really think about leadership could be with anyone. When you're interacting with someone, how do you want to show up? How do you want to lead yourself and or lead your family or when you're with your friends? So, all right. I hope that was helpful.
That was very good, Chad. I'm going to stop
Yeah.
the recording here real quick.